discuss
Yes, indeed.
a new relationship. Do you remember when your relationship was new and fresh,
Kind
exciting?
of. Yeah, I think I do. How about
do.
you?
I do too.
All right.
I also remember that I wish I had known Ryan Haddon before my
Yeah.
first relationship, because before you dive into a first relationship, it is important to fully understand and embrace your true self before you try sharing it with
Does this
somebody
kind of
else.
mean clean up your act? I'm not sure.
I
But
mean,
joining
yeah.
us this morning to guide us through the process of bringing your best self into your new relationship is life and spiritual coach Ryan Haddon's here once again. Welcome back to New York.
darling.
Always
Good
wonderful to see
morning.
you.
So good to be here.
Yeah, so good to see you.
So good to see you, Jim.
So we're talking getting involved in a relationship, and I guess the premise here is before you jump in, make sure this is in a good place.
yeah, I mean, that's always the goal,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But we can't walk in perfection.
course.
So we're going to we work on each other in relationships. There's that. So that's that understanding that some of that friction helps shape us into better humans. So it's knowing that. But I think before you enter in, if you're in your single years and this is a moment you're in between relationships, clean up your act, as you said. See what's your part. What are your relational strengths and weaknesses? Kind of
Yeah.
take a little inventory of that. And then know if you still have resentments towards your past partners. Because you don't want to, you're going to drag that into every relationship that you go into from here on out if you don't deal with it.
That's
So
very
you might as
true.
well deal with it now. Plus, you attract where you're at.
I was just going to say, because we talk a
you
lot
always say
about
that.
energy
Yep.
with you and giving and receiving. And listen, I'm very public about my failed marriage. I learned a lot, but I arrived to the marriage as a very different person
Right.
than I am now.
Yeah,
and I
sure.
think that made space for the successful relationship I'm currently in. I wonder, though, can you figure that out about yourself by yourself? Don't you have to be in relation with someone or something
Yeah, I think that's
to
true.
kind of understand?
I
like,
think it's true.
Castro, drop the attitude, or something. You know what I
But
mean?
what we
Like,
tend to do is project. So we tend to put on them, they're not doing this right, get my needs and wants met. But what if we started to train ourselves to do that for ourselves, right? So that we're self-responsible and that we show up and we share from overflow. So that's sort of when you catch yourself obsessing, they're not doing this, they're not doing
Right.
that.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What am I thinking? What's my next right action? How can I show up best in this partnership? Gratitude's a big one. Finding those little moments of thanking your person, it creates a frequency between you. So I'd say to prepare yourself for this, just look at what are themes that have shown up again and again and
Right.
again, because like we said, you're taking yourself into you're the common denominator. And there's no magic relationship. Right. So I think knowing that and working off of that framework is super helpful.
When I hear people talk about, and oddly enough, or maybe not oddly enough, being in a relationship now and getting that second chance in life, so to speak, I think we come into this hopefully a little more intellectual about ourselves
Yes.
and our personality and our type and what we attract and we're repelled by. So I feel it's almost easier when you're older because you should know yourself. And Marisol, you should know yourself a little bit. But what you were talking about in terms of prior relationships, and a lot of people say this, they take the anger they had from all those
Yes.
bad relations, they're not even realizing they're dragging it right into the next one.
Yeah.
You really have to figure out how to separate that. Is
Yeah.
there a
Yeah,
tool,
how
a
do
way
you
of
do
doing
that?
that?
There is. I think just knowing, like, what, first of all, you have to acknowledge it. It is what it is, right? We can't bypass it. We can't wish it to be different. This is how I
right.
feel. And so you're just kind of working with that. And I could do a lot of writing. You could talk to someone else about it. You can just be aware of what your part was in it. Where did you people please? Where did you stuff your feelings? Where did you not set boundaries? So those are the relational strengths and weaknesses that we're talking about. So knowing who you are and how you've shown up in each one is important. And Marisol, we both have exes, so
Yeah.
I like to think of them as our greatest teachers.
Yes.
Because they really are, they shape and form us. If
Right.
we're conscious, if we're aware, you can allow that friction to create another version of you, someone more available to more loving, to more good, to an even more deeper partnership.
Yeah. And I will say this, I have a better relationship now with my ex-husband than I did when we were married. And he says, like, I don't even recognize you. And I say, I'm sure you don't, really.
Right.
I'm sure
You've
you
healed,
don't.
you've grown,
Right,
you've
and
evolved.
I think he has too. And that's important too, because when all that festering is around, nobody wins.
Right.
The people around
And if you
suffer.
line up all your partners, they should all be kind of like evolving
Right.
in a sense. It shouldn't be the same person each time. That's a good litmus test.
That's true. Remember, that's true. And that does happen.
And they might not get along, like they would never hang out together,
Right, if
right? You're
all
like, I'm
your
doing
exes
pretty
in a
well.
row. Oh my God, that was a nightmare. Sheesh.
Now, in terms of just not only, what about other life interests, personal interests,
Yes.
that will also help you grow outside of evolving
that's
into
a
a
big
new relationship?
one. Getting your life in balance. If you're like about to enter into something, like build the big life you want. Don't put all your needs and wants on the partnership. It puts like a burden on that. It keeps things out of balance. So become that person you want to fall in love with.
Yeah.
Right? Do the things you want to be in partnership with someone else. Go play tennis. Go do the things that you've always wanted to do and that speak to you, and build this big life so that that person can just slide in. So when they do, it's not going to like get out of balance. For
Right.
those of us that are recovering from codependence
Right.
or
Right.
like love addiction or all those other fun things where we start to put our partners on a pedestal, or so everything has its place.
Yeah.
And that's really what it should be. We should be loving from that place of fullness where our cup overflows and we share
Yeah.
back and forth with each other.
You are, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Good stuff, Ryan. As
Always great stuff.
Appreciate it.
Next time we're going to talk about her chickens.
Yeah, we have
She's
a
got
whole
the
chicken
farm.
conversation.
It's a whole situation.
It's a whole
I
situation.
didn't realize there's lab chicken lab.
What are they called?
Silkies.
Silkies.
Get yourselves some
The
Get
Labrador
yourselves
Retriever
the Labrador
of the
Retriever
chickens.
Who knew? The things we learn from you, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.